If there's conversation going on, I can't hear it.
Can you hear it now?
Yes, thank you so much.
Great, you're welcome. And Counselor Ewing is joining via Zoom. I will now turn it over to Assistant City Manager and Finance Director, Mr. Paul Downey.
Okay, we got about 10 minutes to go through these PowerPoint presentations so we can get started on our right of ways. Next page, we'll see the agenda, purpose, history, RFP process, scoring, questions, and options. Next page, purpose. The city, this is right out of what the council came up with. The city is seeking a federally certified nonprofit to operate, manage, and maintain the Forest Grove Senior and Community Center for the provision of health, wellness, socialization, and personal growth programs for senior and community members commencing January 1, 2025. The city issued an RFP for interest nonprofits to submit a proposal. So tonight, the council reached a proposal on a provider. The terms and conditions of the operating and managing the senior community center would be an operations agreement is done with the current provider. Tonight, the council will interview the two nonprofits who submitted proposals for the objective of determining how the council wants to proceed with the process. Brief history: on August 8th, we received the letter from the Forest Grove the board saying they intended to exit the contract with the city on November 15th, 2024. They later amended that date to December 31st, 2024. Council held two work sessions, one on August 26th and one on September 23rd, to review options for continuing services, including contracting with a nonprofit or having the city operate the senior center. Council's direction is to issue an RFP for a nonprofit to operate the senior community center. An RFP was issued on October 1st. With the objective of having the profit begin operations on January 1st, 2025. The city uses a standard RFP process. The only exception is the council compromises the interview panel due to the exclusive use provision in the operation agreement. Our RFP process consists of issuing the RFP. For this RFP, we held a mandatory pre-proposal meeting. We answered questions from potential proposals that came up to a certain date and time. We received proposals which are reviewed and scored by a selection committee. Based on the selection committee scoring, interview selected proposers, that's tonight, score the interviews, and based on the scores, decide how to proceed, issue contract or not. So for the RFP, a potential proposer had to attend the mandatory pre-proposal meeting to be able to submit a proposal. Two not-for-profits attended the mandatory three attended the mandatory pre-proposal meeting. City Club of Forest Grove, Central Cultural, and Meals on Wheels. City Club and Central Cultural submitted proposals which were reviewed by the selection review committee. Those proposals were included in your Friday packet. The selection review committee consisted of myself and Lane, Parks and Recreation Director, Stephanie Fleischer, Communications and Programs Manager, Cody Jeffers, Recreation Coordinator, and Marilyn Joe Daly Blair, who is the Director of the City of Salem's Center 50 Plus, essentially their senior center. Selection review committee used the scoring criteria below that was developed during the council work sessions. Each section had a total 100 points and was weighted as indicated below. Qualifications and experience 30%, financial and operational stability 25%, proposed programs approach and project staff qualification and experience 20%, partnerships 10%, transition plan 10%, quality and completeness of programs 5%. Each committee members scored the proposal independently. After scoring, the committee met to ensure that proposer scores were accurately calculated and to discuss overall observations. Committee scores and observations will not be provided at this time in order not to influence the council prior to its interviews. Staff has prepared 10 common interview questions for the council to ask. Each section will be worth 50 points and weighted in accordance with the RFP, resulting in a total 50 points for each counselor score. There are 2 questions for each of the following sections. Qualifications and experience, financial and operational stability, post programs approach, project staff qualifications experience 25, partnerships 10, and transition plan 10. There's nothing for quality. We move that up. We move those 5% up to the proposed programs and approach section. If time allows, council can ask follow-up questions of each proposer to seek additional information or clarification. You do not have to ask the same follow-up questions of each proposer. Okay, so each counselor will be provided a score sheet to score the questions, which will be submitted to staff at the conclusion of both interviews. Any notes you take during the interviews must be turned into staff as well. Remember, the score sheets and any notes you take during the interviews are public information. Staff will combine the council scores with the selection of community scores to arrive at a total score for each proposer.
Can you pause for just a moment?
So we must stop here and pull out the scoring sheet, which is
Everybody should have a scoring sheet. Counselor Ewing? I think Mariah emailed you a scoring sheet as well. And just to kind of take everybody through it, you'll see the different categories on the far left. Again, I'm looking at this sheet right here. And then for each section, you will have a total number of points. So for section 1, you can have up from 1 to 50 points. For each counselor, what you would do is you write in the points section, how many points you gave them for that section, okay? Staff can do the weighted averages. We would just need each counselor to put in the number of points. So for example, if under qualifications and experience, you think they deserve 40 out of 50 points, all you would write in is 40 points.
we'll do the weighting.
We'll do the weighted average part. It automatically actually fills it in. We have a tabulated table, so when we enter your scores, it will automatically tabulate the total. So, and then these will be essentially the public record of what your scores were if anybody requests those scores. So, does that make sense so far? Counselor Ewing, does that make sense so far? You're on mute.
You're muted.
Sorry.
No, that's her.
There we go. Okay,
There we go.
so sorry about that, guys. I'm having to go between screens and we all know that I'm technically challenged. I understand this. I understand the sheet, but what I want to kind of drill down on is, so each counselor is given 50 points and we can distribute those 50 points between those score items, or
No question.
or are we doing 1 to 50 on each score item? I'm not sure. So if I want to give, like, you know, a weighted amount all the way down to the last score item, am I having to then make sure that only adds up to 50 points?
Each category, if you look on the far left, each category is worth up to 50 points. So you
Up
can
to,
give-
okay,
You can give the first category 50, you can give the next one up to 50, the third one up to 50. Staff will take care of the weighted average. All
Got
we're asking the counselors to do is just write in the total number of points for that category, and then we will calculate the weighted average.
perfect, gotcha.
Point of clarification,
Yes.
Angelo, it's 50 points for each of the two. So it's not 50 across the two, it's 50 for each of
Yes.
them. By category.
No,
If you're asking if it's 50 for each question within the section, no, it's just the total for the section. You can weight the questions however you want to within the section. So there's 2 questions per section. And if you want, you can score one with up to 25 and the other one up to 25. Or you can just add up the total number of points for that section. Does that make sense?
No, now I'm confused. I thought I had it. I thought I had it down, but
So if you pull out your questions, maybe this will help.
Okay,
Before your interview questions.
okay, just a
you'll see
sec,
in-
just a minute.
Let's try to make it easy. Let me know when you pulled that
Okay.
up. So if you refer to section 1, under the interview questions, the total section score is from 0 to 50. There's 2 questions. You can apportion the points for that particular section. The overall section is about qualifications and experience. The questions are intended to kind of derive what those qualifications and experience are. And so what staff would need is how much you want to give for that section. If you want to apportion 25 points for each question in that section and then add it up, you can do that. Just our only guidance would be to make sure that you're consistent. If you do it one way, make sure that you do it the same for both proposals, if that makes sense. Paul, did you want to add to that?
Then you'll take for example, in section 1, there, let's say you're at 50 points there. Okay, then you'll take that 50 points and you'll transfer it over to the scoring sheet. You'll write 50 on the scoring
Right.
sheet. And you'll do that for each of the questions on your summary scoring sheet. Yeah, you start here and then transfer it over, start on your questions and then transfer it over. It'll probably make it easier for the process.
Does that make sense? Counselor Yu, did you have any questions or?
I guess that we're just gonna have to kind of get into it because I really, no, maybe I'm slow tonight. But no, I'm not really getting it. So you're saying that each section has 2, one for one for Forest Grove, City Club, and then one for Central Cultural. Those are the 2 sections you're talking about?
No, so if you look at your interview questions, you'll have essentially 2. You'll have the same interview questions for both proposals. You'll fill out the interview questions for each proposal. And then those scores will transfer over onto the scoring sheet. Did you want?
Yeah, I'm like the teacher in me is
Yeah,
dying.
sorry.
I think it was confusing because the scoring sheet, don't worry about the scoring sheet until after both interviews are done. So start with your interview questions. For each section, you're gonna score the interviewee for that section out of 50 points.
Where are the interview questions that you're speaking of?
It says interview questions, proposed name, counselor's name. There's a script and it says section 1.
Okay, I didn't get that. I didn't get that. Was it supposed to be sent over to me or is it in the package somewhere? I didn't see it.
It's not in the packet. It was sent to you this afternoon by Mariah.
Mariah
Okay.
sent you an email, Counselor Yu, and it should.
All right, let me go back because the only thing I found in the email, this is not Mariah, this is me. The only thing I found in the email was the actual scoring sheet. So let me go back.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, but let me go back and see what I can find.
Oh, we gotta look back.
So my recommendation would be to save 2 copies of the interview questions to your desktop. And then one of set of those interview questions will be for the Centro Cultural and the other saved version will be for the City Club.
Oh, I see it. I see it. I'm so sorry, Mariah. I gotta tell you, I'm nervous here. Okay, so the interview questions, those are the ones you want me to save?
Yes, save 2 copies.
Okay, save 2 copies and then the scoring sheet we'll do at the very end of it.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's the scoring. Now we go to the next page is the options. Council has a final decision in this process. The selection review committee scores are for guidance. You can do whatever, after the scores, you can still do whatever the council wants to do with the final decision. When making this decision, the council needs to consider its purpose for the facility. Council options, select One proposal would authorize staff to begin negotiations for an operations agreement. You could also direct staff to negotiate different terms, other than those including the RFP if you chose to, for example, more or less financial assistance, longer or shorter agreement term, types of program delivery, etc. Another option is to hold proposals in abeyance and seek additional proposals that choice of the previous proposals. However, time is an issue with this option, or you could not select either proposal and ask staff to develop a plan to continue operations of the Forest Grove Senior Community Center. Those are your options for tonight. So next steps.
Brian, next slide.
Next steps, conduct the interviews. Tabulate scores, and present scores to council, and council discussion to arrive at a decision and provide direction to staff. Next steps. So we're at the interview process right now.
Yeah, can I add a couple of things about the interview process?
Yes.
Okay, so I was just gonna propose that we divide up the questions amongst ourselves. And so I was gonna give section one, the 2 questions in section 1 to Counselor Valenzuela to ask, the 2 questions in section 2 to Counselor Marshall, the 2 questions in section 3 to Council President Rippey, the 2 questions in section 4 to Counselor Martinez, and then the 2 questions in section 5 to Counselor Ewing
I've also put a copy of the questions up here
for the, okay,
for the
is everyone okay with that?
person being interviewed. That way they can see them that they're being asked.
Perfect.
So if we have other questions.
At the end,
That's what I
yeah,
wanted.
at the end of each interview, we can ask a follow-up questions,
Okay. Sounds good.
right? Correct?
Yes.
Counselor Ewing, did you hear that?
I'm doing section 5. That's what I heard. Is
Perfect.
that good enough?
Yep, that's correct. Thank you.
Follow-on questions are at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if she is.
Yeah, Counselor Gustafson.
Hi, Counselor Gustafson. I am of recusing myself from this process due to a perceived bias and a possible future financial benefit. And this is for this event only.
Thank you. They would let the record show that Counselor Gustafson is recusing herself from this process. Okay. So we're good to go? Are we ready to start is everyone feeling good? Any other questions from the council before we begin with interviews? What?
I just hate giving numbers. No, today was not my favorite thing to do. So.
Okay, so thank you for being here today to interview for managing and operating. I guess I should read this for each person. I'll call them.
Yeah, we call it that, you know.
I would like to call the city club up for their interview.
That's test.
Thank you for being here today to interview for managing and operating the Forest Grove Senior and Community Center. The following prepared questions are responsive to the scoring criteria in the request for proposal, RFP. Please know there is 30 minutes per interview and a total of 10 questions. Time management is up to you. If the interview ends before the allotted time, counselors may ask follow-up questions of the proposer. At the conclusion of the interview, City Council will score each interview and submit the results to city staff.
Is there a time for a statement before we begin? I understand that I'm responsible for the time.
I don't know, is that part of the?
That's your discretion. If you want to take a statement from her, she's still going to get them all. She
Okay.
still has to get it in half an hour.
Okay, was that fine with council? Okay,
All right. As the leader in the city, I value the opportunity for smaller organizations to grow, and I value looking within the city first for options before looking outside, as this increases our self-sustainability and reliance. Unfortunately, the City Club of Forest Grove application was only 2 applications for this contract, which is not optimal. Perhaps a temporary senior center management run by the city of Forest Grove would be best until the council has an adequate amount of time to promote an RFP. However, if it is the decision of this council to select one of the two applicants this evening, I am prepared to share our thoughts. The City Club of Forest Grove has been an organization for 20 years, but we are in a significant growth phase, which will benefit not only the downtown district, but the entire city of Forest Grove. The recent designation as an affiliated Main Street level administrative organization has given us the opportunity and resources to increase our value to Forest Grove in areas of downtown revitalization, improve commerce, tourism, and community engagement. As I have expressed before, this is not a quick process, and as a successful organization, obtaining financial resources and support from their city is important. The Forest Grove Senior and Community Center RFP presented a unique opportunity to further the city's goal of downtown revitalization while filling a gap in the community and senior services at the community center. A primary focus of our goals and strategy includes community engagement, involvement, and enrichment in fostering a community who feels engaged, active, empowered, and involved, creates a feeling of ownership of their city. This RFP gives the City Club of Forest Grove the ability to optimize resources to help achieve our goals while providing necessary services to seniors and to the community. Thanks to considered deliberations, the City Club of Forest Grove is a Forest Grove nonprofit whose focus is the entire community and not a specialty group or a service provider for a subset of our community. We are the only applicant who resides in and are focused on Forest Grove. We are a partnership organization and intend to continue to grow our partnership network. We already have and have started partnerships conversations with organizations, including the current Forest Grove Senior and Community Center Board, Meals on Wheels, Veterans, Chamber of Commerce, Elks, Rotary, Adelante Mujeres, and others. In the future, we would also like to investigate a partnership with Centro Cultural and, of course, work on engagement for our largest partner, our community. We value our partners and the knowledge, perspectives, experience, and expertise others have, and will utilize these partnerships for a successful, sustainable center and programs held within. We are not a large, fully staffed organization. This is something to listen to, and there may be questions that you will have, which I will be unable to definitively answer at this time. I'm going to repeat that. We are not a large, fully staffed organization, and there may be questions you will have, which I will be unable to definitively answer at this time. The short timeline of this request is unlike most RFPs, and the City Club has been clear as to both assumptions and expectations. Partnering with the current City Club of Forest Grove, current Forest Grove Senior Community Center Board and staff, learning from their expertise, history, and knowledge, and improving efficiencies, expanding services and offerings with the wealth of their knowledge and resources, as well as the resources from the Main Street program, and enhancing partnerships will lead us to answer many of your questions while on this journey together. The most optimal location for City Club of Forest Grove presence, office, program location, and community engagement would be a building in the heart of downtown. However, this Forest Grove Senior and Community Center opportunity, which is in the interior edge of the downtown district, has presented itself as an opportunity to the City Club of Forest Grove. We are hopeful the council supports our desire for growth and our determination to serve the community as the next Forest Grove Senior and Community Center administrators. And if you choose otherwise, we look forward to council's partnership with us by supporting our programs in the very near future with both financial and resource support. Thank you. I'm ready for questions.
Thank you. The first question. What experience does your organization have administering social health and wellness and personal growth programs for seniors and community members? And please provide a specific example.
Sure. So as far as the City Club of Forest Grove, our experience is short-term programs that last probably 6 to 8 months throughout the year that are repeatable programs. And these programs are implemented in a way that makes sure that whatever services we are providing and whatever volunteers that we are searching for is available to everybody, no matter what their abilities are. We make certain that when we are requesting volunteers, that we have things for volunteers to do who have developmental disabilities, physical disabilities. We make sure everybody has something that they can do so everyone can feel like they are providing to their community.
Thank you. And the second question, what qualifications and experience do you have reaching out to senior and community members to assure broad knowledge of programming and participation by all community members? Please provide a specific example.
Sure, right now, that is a struggle, reaching out to any community members, no matter what their age or abilities are, or what programs that we have available. We use the same methods that most organizations use with the News Times, social media, asking for help from the city when necessary, word of mouth, business network, and other network communication avenues.
Thank you.
Okay, the ability to financially sustain operations, including administering rentals, and leases, managing facilities, fundraising, obtaining grants, and offering fee-based programming. Please provide specific examples of facilities that your organizations have managed, including administration of rentals and leases, and if the facility was financially self-sustaining.
Sure. So currently, our organization doesn't have a building. That's one of the resources that we're in search of. Right now, we have a program where we share resources with other nonprofit organizations such as Adelante Mujeres. We both have physical resources that we trade. We also have the same program that we use with the different businesses throughout Forest Grove. So although we don't have a fee structure and buildings in order to rent or provide to others, we have utilized a trade program in order to bring benefit to everybody without having to spend their own dollars. Being able to trade instead of using money is actually financially more efficient for all parties involved and makes it easier for people to contribute. As far as fee structure, we have organized with the City Club different membership fee structures, as well as different marketing and benefit fee structures for our members.
Giving everybody a chance, right? All right, how will you ensure operation of the senior center and community center will remain financially viable long-term? Please give specific examples of funding sources, including grants, fee-based programming, and what assistance, if any, your organization would request from the city.
Within the application of the City Club, there are a number of expectations and assumptions that are listed there. So we have asked the city to step forward and provide financial support that would be used for the Main Street program. Keeping in mind, and this is difficult to explain on paper without a visual, but the Main Street program itself has a very large community aspect to it. What I've been told with our Main Street coordinators is at least 60% of a Main Street program is community-based and puts the value in the community itself, because without that community, you can't have a viable Main Street or a Main Street program. So this was an optimal situation for us to step into because of the community aspect of this. As far as viability and sustainability, again, the current executive director there is absolutely amazing, and she was there prior, and she is back again, and learning from her current experience and the experience of those that are currently working in the center is a very important part of us stepping into that position. You add to that the experience that we have at the City Club, as far as marketing experience, marketing background, program management background of decades. We can take the Senior and Community Center and not only continue the services that they provide now, but expand the current services and enhance the community center to be more than it is today. And I apologize, but I don't have details to back that up.
Section 3 deals with program types, approach, project staff qualifications and experience. First question is, what social, health and wellness, and personal growth programs would your organization administer?
We will continue, let me make sure I got the question right. You're asking us what programs, basically in general, what programs would we be administering? Okay, we will continue the programs that they have currently, all of them. And we will do an assessment of the programs, not just its viability, but its buy-in from the community. And in basically the journey of adding partners to our organization, we will grow those programs. We will identify what it is the community is wanting, especially when you consider COVID and how things have changed for community and what they need and what they want to feel ownership of their own city. We will be adjusting programs accordingly. But again, the partnerships is going to be absolutely paramount to having an accessible and an excellent senior center.
Second question is, what is your organization's staffing plan for the senior and community center, including both paid staff and volunteers?
For now, it would be status quo. Of course, that would be based on what the current staff is interested in. Those are all unknowns at this time. But one of our goals as an organization is to have staff hired by in the next year and a half. That is our goal. That was our goal. It's required for the Main Street program. So stepping into the senior and community center will help us attain that goal and be able to modernize the staffing structure at the senior center and bring some optimization to the staffing. And I have one more comment. There's a lot of unknowns. I've talked extensively with Rayanne and with the board president, and there's a lot of unknowns in this situation. So I think either side, whether it's Centro or the City Club or another organization, there's going to need to be grace no matter what's decided, because there are so many unknowns. We could have the best plans laid out, and once we get in there, things have to change.
All right, question 4, or section 4, I should say. So it's demonstrated ability to partner with other organizations and business to administer programs. So question 1, how would you leverage existing Forest Grove senior and community center partnerships to further deliver social, health, and wellness and personal growth programs?
We will adopt the current partnerships that the senior and community center have currently. And we would also like to look into keeping the current senior center board on in some sort of capacity, whether that's a shared board position or a committee. I don't know, but they're the experts. They've been doing this a long time. So we want to keep that as a status quo. And again, look into it, see if it needs optimizing. Maybe grouping the multiple partners together. But in addition to that, the City Club, all of what we do is partnerships. We live off of partnerships, and that's what we excel at. So we will be looking into furthering our partnership with all of the organizations that are nonprofits in the city of Forest Grove, which there are many that I don't even know of. But we will be starting with the main groups in Forest Grove to get those partnerships going, because we believe that all of those different groups have much more knowledge than any one group. And if we put all of our heads together, we can come up with some great ideas.
What new partnerships would your organization form to enhance delivery of social health and wellness and personal growth programs?
Sure. Currently, we have a partnership with Adelante Mujeres, and we will continue that partnership and nurture it more. We would also like to start a partnership with a veteran services organization. Recently, we were approached by a number of veterans who are interested in having services here in Forest Grove that are a little bit more readily available. We'd also like to look into community health partnerships. So that we can have at least the access to healthcare, and the direction for healthcare for not just our, aging population, but for community members themselves.
Counselor Ewing.
Just give me a moment, please. I need to load my other screen. I'm gonna simplify this because I'm having to go between, as I said, two screens. Can you lay out your transactional plan and how you are prepared to transfer those assets and how your organization will make that a smooth transaction is kind of the premise of it. And then the question is, if awarded, the application, if you're awarded it, what will you include in the steps to ensure that seamless transfer?
Mayor, would you like me to read the questions?
Yes, please.
If awarded the operation agreement, what specific steps would you take to ensure a seamless transition in programming, operations, and maintenance? What challenges do you foresee during the transition, and how would you address them to assure uninterrupted services?
Good. So to transition, again, back to the staff of the senior center and the board would also have to be on board with this. So again, it's a shared responsibility and a partnership. But the idea would be to step in on a regular basis into the senior community center and work side by side with the staff. Get an understanding of how the center is run, but not engage. The minute a new person shows up and starts telling people what to do, that's when people start leaving. So I've worked in mergers and acquisitions for over 15 years. This is something that I personally have a lot of knowledge of as far as stepping into an organization and making sure that everybody feels comfortable with that transition. Working with the current staff, the current executive director, to get up to speed on everything that's going on, all of the programming, and make sure that it stays active as is for now. And then talking with the staff, talking with the executive director to find out where the pinch points are. Where are people uncomfortable? Where are people wanting to make changes, but they just haven't had the opportunity to do so? Let them be the owners of that change and then help that transition happen.
Would you mind reading again, Melinda, second part of that?
Sure. Question 2, what is your communication plan during the transition to assure uninterrupted services?
We haven't established a communication plan for this. Obviously, it's been too soon. But as far as, are you speaking of a communication plan for customers?
For the transition to assure uninterrupted services. I think between, it can be customers, it can be like, yeah, the patrons, and it can be with the previous board.
Okay.
It's like the full,
Anybody,
yeah.
anybody, okay. Again, over communicating would be the key, making sure that there is a place for people to have questions to be asked that we can respond to. These can be questions that are asked anonymously to make sure people, especially the staff, are comfortable asking these questions. Having different forums to invite people to the senior center to introduce them to the new organization who is stepping in to take on some of the responsibilities of the senior center. Of course, an announcement in the News Times is very important, really making sure that we network this information out to others, while also reminding people of the work that the City Club has already done.
Okay, those are the 10 questions on the form. So now we're gonna open it up. Do any counselors have follow-up questions?
I do.
Okay, Counselor Martinez.
So how, so we have a diverse community. How are you going to include everyone into the senior center to make them feel welcome from all the different? And it is difficult because I'm gonna give a little personal information, just because I know that there is which is racism for everybody. It's not just us, it's in all communities, okay? And we need to invite everyone in some way that they can start to feel included. You know, everybody on an equal playing field.
That's a really good question, and that reminded me of a situation where my kids went to junior high, and they both had friends that were of Latino descent when they were younger, and all of a sudden they did not like anyone of Latino descent. And I asked them why. I didn't understand. When did this happen? This is not how you were raised. And it was because the groups they felt of Latino descent had clicked together, because there's a protection mechanism to that. And it didn't mean that they were being mean to my kids. It was just a reaction. And then my kids' reaction was negative. So it's understanding those habits that we have, our bias that we have, that we don't realize is there, that we don't realize is showing. Making sure that we are aware of that as an organization and reaching out to those groups and really having those honest conversations. Those are hard conversations to have. So have those honest conversations. I also want to reach out to, we've got different sections of Forest Grove, right? We are so split down the conservative and the liberals, right? It's really heated time of the year right now. And then we've got a huge Latino population. But what about the Sikh? What about the Middle Eastern? What about the Asian? All of those are smaller groups within Forest Grove. We will reach out to them individually. The veterans, LGBTQ. This is a community center, and it will be a place that is a safe place for anybody. And I have personally zero tolerance for any sort of racism and any sort of hate at all. And that will be one of our missions, is to make sure that that is always a safe place, no matter who you are or where you're from. Thank you for that question.
Any additional questions?
How will you make sure that there is a balance between the senior portion of it and the community portion of it?
One of the ways that we wanted to do that was to keep the senior board involved. We want to make sure that we have that group engaged. And if it is not that specific group, it is another committee that specializes in knowledge of what seniors need. And again, it's those partnerships, is finding, our organization does not know all of the things about all of the groups. It's impossible for any one organization to know that. And if they tell you otherwise, they're not telling you, they're not being honest. You need to partner with different people that have those specialty talents and awareness of the seniors and what they need.
Councilor
Yes, I
Valentin.
have a question. of the seniors that are currently being served at the senior center, and what percentage of them is Latino or, like you mentioned, other cultures that is currently being served that way?
I have no idea. I don't know the statistics of the senior center, but yeah, I have no idea. I could take a guess if the majority is still white.
Thank you.
Any other follow-up questions? Counselor Ewing, go ahead.
Thank you. So one of the things I noted in your application was that you're thinking about rebranding the senior center. Am I correct in that understanding? Donna?
That is correct, and we understand that might pinch people the wrong way. But we believe that having a new branding, something a little bit more modern, that still invites all people and makes sure that the seniors understand that this is a community center for them as well as veterans and everybody else. But we find that having it rebranded will make it seem more welcoming. Right now, when people use the term senior and community center, senior center at all they hear is senior center. That's all they hear. So how do we get creative to make it known that it's a community center for all, and they have specialized services for different things?
I understand that. Just as a follow-up, the senior community right now is at a pinch point. Let's just be honest here. They're feeling very uncertain, feeling very concerned, negative, apprehensive about the senior and community center. With rebranding, won't that further drive that insecurity with our senior members?
That would depend on how you executed the change. Again, I would not go in there and all of a sudden make all these changes. That branding change would take time to happen. Because again, with my background in mergers and acquisitions, the last thing you want to do is make a whole bunch of changes that, just coming out of the gate. So it would be a feel it as we go. But I understand what you're saying, and I thought long and hard about it, and I had conversations with my executive board about that same issue and that same concern. And it is at the top of our minds, how do we make this an inclusive community center and make it sound more engaging and more exciting and more open to even people who want to rent the space from outside the community, while still making sure our seniors understand that we are there for them and that we will provide programs for them, and it is a place for them as well.
Could I do one last question?
Well, I mean, we have 1 minute left. So
I think one of the concerns that I need to have addressed is the staffing. Am I understanding that you're not going to put permanent full-time staffing in place? Can you tell me what that looks like? Because I'm kind of confused from the description you provided.
The staffing would stay as is. There's been no conversations about staffing as far as what the current senior community center staff would like. I would leave it as is, and again, step in and get familiar with the staff and their operations and find out who is interested in staying and who isn't interested in staying. But as far as I know, the staff that they have now, it works very well. I haven't heard of any deficiencies. But then, of course, we will be increasing those programs, so we'll be increasing staffing eventually.
Thank you.
great. Thank you so much. This concludes our interview.
Right, I'm gonna leave, so. Paul Seneca. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask our second applicant, Central Cartel, to have a seat up here. There's 2 seats as well. The questions are on the table.
Oh.
Question.
I'm looking for one that'll make me a little bit higher.
Oh, I'm sorry. Grab one wine. Yeah, we get you up there.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for being here today to interview for managing and operating the Forest Grove Senior and Community Center. The following prepared questions are responsive to the scoring criteria in the request for proposal, RFP. Please know there's 30 minutes per interview and a total of 10 questions. Time management is up to you. If the interview ends before the allotted time, counselors may ask follow-up questions of the proposer. At the conclusion of the interview, City Council will score each interview and submit the results to city staff. Okay, so we will begin now with Councilor Valenzuela.
Hi, good evening, Ms. Rubio. Good to see you. So the first questions are related to the qualifications and experience administering health and wellness, social and personal growth programs for the benefit of seniors and community members. So the first question, what experience does your organization have administering social health and wellness and personal growth programs for seniors and community members? And please provide a specific examples.
Okay, so we have been providing senior services for the last 8 years. And that came about because we saw the need in the community. In fact, a lot of what we do at Centro is about responding to the needs of the community. And we run the Edad de Oro Senior Program, which is open to everyone in the community, not only Latinos. We cater to Latinos because we are a Latino serving organization, but everyone is welcome and we serve everyone. We have about 100 people, 100 seniors who show up every day, excuse me. They get there about 9 in the morning for coffee and fellowship, and then they stay. We have workshops, we have Tai Chi, we have Zumba, we have dance, we have all kinds of activities for them. And then we have a nutritious meal at noon. We have guest speakers who come in and talk about wellness and health and those kinds of things. We also offer connections to health care for seniors and also for community who doesn't have access to it. They have no health insurance, so they don't speak the language. Did you want to add anything?
I think this also, I'm drawing it with Central. One of the things that it's also really important that apart from standardizing normal programming that exists at Central has been very good at creating programs that are reflective of the need of the community as we go through the different times. It could be emotional support. Team was created to help people through COVID. And that team spent an hour with someone twice a week just to check in on where they were and have that little conversation. You know, when fires came up, we were ensuring that seniors had filters or that they had fans or that, you know, so it's not just the standard programming of wellness. It's also being forthcoming and reacting to conditions that we have in community that seniors sometimes are forgotten as part of that equation.
Thank you. And the second question, what qualifications and experience do you have reaching out to senior and community members to assure broad knowledge of programming and participation by all community members? And please provide a specific example.
Okay. So because we've been here in existence for 52 years now, we're very well known in the community. In fact, in all of Washington County. So we get folks in from Tigard, Tualatin, Beaverton, Sherwood, just all over Washington County. We currently provide resident services at Cornelius Place, which is right over the library. We work for Bridge, which is the builder and the developer. They hired us when they were first building there, and we've been delivering services there since then. We bring in workshops, we bring in, we have events, and we have someone there on staff to meet their needs. So that has also helped to spread the word. A lot, I would say 90% of the folks that live there are Caucasian, and now we are getting a lot more of those folks coming over for lunch. and coming over for events and activities and that kind of thing. So I think for us, our word of mouth is really the way that we get the word out. We have a very robust Facebook page and all of the other areas, platforms of social media as well. We put out a monthly newsletter that goes out to various organizations. We also have relationships with all of the city governments and all of the county organizations and departments. So they refer a lot of folks to us as well. And we connect also with our seniors with the needs that they have depending on the department.
Thank you.
And seniors is a broad term, and seniors show up not only in our senior programming, they show up in our workforce program. They show up in our youth program. They show up in our food program or pantry program. So the organization has the fortune of having constant referrals in the systems, whether is a senior government agency like the aging division finding a senior that needs help, and they think of our information referral system and say, can you call Central? Or our legal teams that are providing legal services are calling and saying, can we host something and get the community in? Our government agencies are also interested in getting the voice and ensuring that seniors are part of that conversation. So we're constantly pulling them in to conversations that typically would not necessarily be part of programming, but it's an essential way of keeping people connected, engaging community, and vocalizing their needs as part of a system.
Thank you.
All right, ability to financially sustain operations, including administering rentals, leases, managing facilities, fundraising, obtaining grants, and offering fee-based programming. So the question is, please provide specific examples of facilities that your organization has managed, including administration of rentals and leases, and if the facility was financially self-sustaining.
Okay, I'll start the response and then turn it over to Jonathan, who is our not facilities manager, but he's facilitated most of the leases that we have had in other areas. So as I mentioned, we've been in that building for 52 years. 10 years ago, when I became the executive director, I started telling people that my job is, I have two jobs. One is delivering services and programs, but it's also facilities manager, because I learned the difficulty and the level of care that facilities need. And so I'm very aware of that and have a lot of experience in managing that particular facility. And beyond that, we have acquired two other facilities in one in Forest Grove and one in Cornelius. And I'll let Jonathan talk about that. But 7 years ago, we were given a grant to start a workforce center by the city of Hillsborough. They gave us a $2 million startup so that we could begin to deliver services for our community there. And so we have been leasing space there since then. This is our 7th year, and just recently moved to another location because we needed more space. And then you want to talk about the other facilities?
Sure. So Central has had the interesting experience of acquiring a small house and building the community center that you today see and have seen for at least the last 40 years. But it has also leased spaces. So it has built the internal skills of both managing its own space and all the needs. We're about 120 at staff.
110.
110, and about 4 different locations with lease. So we're dealing with landlords and managing that aspect and ensuring that things are in play. We acquired a pantry when the pandemic hit, and most of the pantries had to be shut down, and this became sort of that epicenter. We just finished our second rehab of that, so we've gone through the experience of not just managing a facility, but actually rehabbing an entire facility. And most recently, Forest Grove knows that we own the Forest Grove Inn that now is Casa Amparo, transitional shelter, 20 units. And that has now gone through 2 phases. This is the second phase. We're gonna go back in there right now and work through redoing the last phase of that. So internally, we have the experience of managing not only for the staff, but also the physical components of a facility across very different disciplines and different views.
All right, how will you ensure operation of the senior and community center will remain financially viable long-term? Please give specific examples of funding sources, including grants, fee-based programming, and what assistance, if any, your organization will request from the city.
Thank you for that question. We are very excited for the opportunity to utilize the community center in Forest Grove. We have been looking for space to lease for the past 6 months. We've grown so much that we need office space and we need programming space. So when we saw that this facility was available, we got very excited. We are ready. We have services that we can move in that are fully funded. And we have, like I said, we have about 100 seniors coming in on a daily basis for our programming. We're thinking that we're going to need to start a second shift because we can only have the capacity there by the fire marshal is 100 people sitting in rounds, table rounds, and they're full. So that was going to be our next step if we're not able to find additional space. So this opportunity would allow us to move some of our programming right in and hit the ground running with them. Not only for the senior program, but also for our health and wellness program, and also for our youth programming and workforce. Our intention is to have somebody there to help people who are looking for work, for young people who need tutoring and mentoring after school and on weekends. And then our health and wellness navigators who help people how to navigate the healthcare system, helping them to fill out applications and those kinds of things. We have grants from foundations, and we mostly, I would say about 70% of our income is from government contracts, with city, county, state, and federal government. We have an annual financial audit that has allowed us to access federal funds as well. So we have diversified our income sources over the past few years and feel really honored and pleased that we can continue providing these services for our community.
Well, the third section deals with program types, approach, project staff qualifications, and experience. First question is, what social, health and wellness, and personal growth programs would your organization administer?
As far as personal growth, I mentioned earlier that we started the workforce center in Hillsborough. That kind of has grown, and we are now doing more than just workforce. We're doing business development, and that's really helping people to move up the economic ladder. Those are folks that were maybe stuck in really low income jobs. They're able to come in there and get some financial literacy and getting access to capital for their small micro businesses. We're helping them to scale those. And then also with our workforce, we're also providing GED classes or high school equivalency there are a lot of people who are stuck again in jobs because they don't have a GED or high school diploma. So they're coming in and gaining new skills, getting their certificate and moving forward. And then Jonathan can talk about some of the manufacturing and health fields certifications that they're doing as well. And that again helps them not only with their financial, but with their social and emotional and health efforts. So we also do, we have a very robust also information and referral service. We have currently 5 people, 3 in one building and 2 in another, who are constantly giving people information. They walk in the door, they sometimes don't even know what they need, but they want to find out what we have to offer, and we're able to connect them with different, the 7 different departments within our system, but then externally too, connecting them to social services and government services that they might need. We have people who connect them to health insurance programs, and the other program that we that is also empowering to our community is the after-school program that I mentioned earlier. Since 1989, we've been working on STEM programming for kids, helping them to learn and to engage in science and math, and helping them to learn coding and robotics. And we have a very robust program right now. That'll be one of the ones that we're going to hopefully house at the community center and provide after-school tutoring, homework help, and then weekend STEM training.
So as you've heard, there's a lot of components that we know how to do. We've been doing them. We've had the resources, we've identified those sources. The question always lies at what does Forest Grove will need, what does this community needs, and how we elevate those into those programmings, right? So we have the skill of doing health and wellness. We have the skills of doing information referrals. As we look at the community, and we work with this community to identify what their priorities are within the frameworks of the skill sets that the organization has. You know, we have Sábado Saludable, Healthy Saturdays, and bring in all these resources for the entire family, right? Does it make sense? I think it can make sense for Forest Grove. Will the community want that? If the community wants that, we're able to do that because we have not only the skills, but we have the programming. And it's odd to think about this, but we have a catalog of services that we're able to deploy because we've been working for the beginning of this organization and being very reactive to the needs of the community and sourcing and resourcing the need of the community with programming. So that catalog becomes available based on the assessments and the needs that the community are needing, and those saying that we do have skill sets in many of these, or then we also have partner. There's an amazing partnership that I think I love. One of my favorite ones is working with seniors who are taking care of kids, and they go through an intense training to learn what skill sets they need to be able to be foster parents for grandkids or kids that are under their care. So just to show you the breadth of the skill sets that exist at the organization.
Okay, the second question then is, what is your organization's staffing plan for the senior and community center, including both paid staff and volunteers?
So currently our plan is to move a couple of directors into the facility, and if it were available now, we'd move him in now because we need the space. First of all, our health and wellness director will be there. And then also our facilities, we just hired a new facilities administrator, and he's responsible for all of our buildings. And so he will be there as well. And he will definitely focus on the transition into the facility. So one of them will deal with programming and the other with the actual building facility and care thereof. We also will have an information and referral person there every day, giving out information and connecting them to services. We will have a health navigator who will help people connect to health services and to answer questions. And then we'll also have a senior services worker, a manager there, who will be responsible for the senior program there. We will have, and I think maybe once a week, we will have someone there from our workforce center. And then we will have our youth development staff there, at least, I think it's 3 times a week after school and then on weekends. So we do have some volunteers, but normally we use those for special events. We have currently 5 full-time staff working with our elders program. And they do case management. When seniors come in, we take a 360 look at what their needs are and where we need to refer them. And then we case manage them throughout the year. And the other thing that we have as well is we have a really good relationship with disabled, aging veterans services in Washington County. They fund our senior program. And they're over at our building a lot because we have learned to really get familiarize seniors with the services that are available at the county for them. So I just met with the director and I told her we were applying for this. She said, whatever you need, when you're ready, let me know. We're ready to fund whatever other services you might need for this center. So we're really pleased and honored for that relationship as well.
I think the idea is to bring some seasoned staff, especially directors who could actually make decisions about the future programming by being present in the space and getting an understanding for that space. And I think that will provide us with the best transition by having the top tier professionals working in that space as they develop the programming and can make really good decisions about the resources that could be brought.
So, first section. Demonstrated ability to partner with other organizations and businesses to administer programs. So question 1, how would you leverage existing Forest Grove Senior and Community Center partnerships to further deliver social, health, and wellness and personal growth programs?
Okay, so we're fortunate that we already have relationships with a couple of organizations that are currently at the Forest Grove Senior Center Meals on Wheels program. We partnered with them for maybe 4 years before we started our own nutrition program. We also partner with Ride Connection and have Ride Connection vehicles available to us. We have a senior bus and others like that. We partner with Virginia Garcia and also with Habitat here in Forest Grove. We're doing several projects there with not only seniors, but low-income folks. We partner with the Chamber of Commerce. We do business outreach with them and several other things that I can't think of right off the top of my head, but we do have several. One of them that just comes to mind right off the top of my head is OSHU. We have a partnership with them where they come in and they provide services for us. We've had several different projects, research projects that they have been involved in where they want to reach community, and they come out there and provide. We provide the space, and we recruit folks to come in.
Pacific, which is our it's right here, has been awesome at providing sort of some of their specialized vans to do community events, but also students who come out and do practicums we are psyched for them. We have a set that works with our shelter as well. So there's connections with partnership, I think, Adelante. And I think one of the reasons why the youth programming sort of elevated to the top is that we have a really strong relationship with the Forest Grove School District, specifically around STEM education and our STEM programming. And for years, we've done programming for summer for them.
Yes, we use one of the buildings at the school district every year. We put on a 4-week STEM program. It's from 9 until 3 every day for 4 weeks. And they let us use the building for free, and we do the programming there as well.
It's 100 kids.
Yes, 100 kids.
100 kids.
And most of them are from the Forest Grove
Yes.
School District.
Okay. Question 2, what new partnerships would your organization form to enhance delivery of social, health and wellness and personal growth programs?
Yeah, I think what we would do in terms of new partnerships, I think I would look at more closely at what you all are doing here at the city, and see what partners we need to bring in. And maybe form a small advisory committee of partners who, are delivering other services here. And maybe, working that way together, identify needs. One of the things we also have wanted to do, I mean, we talked about doing, is to really find out what the city residents need and want. I know that the community and senior center has been there for a while, and we would like to hear from community. And we plan to have some open houses and feed people, because when we feed people, people will come, and then just kind of ask the questions. Maybe have each table come up with priorities of what they would like to see at the center. So we have talked about doing that.
We're gonna move on to section 5, transition plan to work with the Forest Grove Senior and Community Center regarding assets, operations, maintenance, and programs to assure uninterrupted service and a seamless transition. So question 1, if awarded the operation agreement, what specific steps would you take to ensure a seamless transition in programming, operations, and maintenance? What challenges do you foresee during the transition, and how would you address them to assure uninterrupted service?
I think on day one, I would send our facilities administrator and also my director of health and wellness to meet, and myself, and then also my COO to meet with the folks who are there now and come up with a plan. I know they've been there for a while, and we would just have a conversation about how things have worked. What are the things that we need to be aware of? What things can we keep? What things would they recommend that we not keep in terms of programs or process? And then just negotiate, I think, what things we need to do and keep. I understand that there are some contracts in place that you would like for us to keep, and we're totally in agreement to do whatever needs to be done to keep programs going, and then also to bring in additional programming, which is, I think, what we're going to be ending up doing in addition to what's already there.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to honor the work that has been done by the team that's been there. But also get that fresh, sort of dreaming piece, would you say, if you didn't have, there was no money, what would you do? And use that as a way to begin to formulate. Because I think we all have experiences that limits what we can, because we know what the budget is. And I think having the opportunity to vision, while honoring the work that they've done, could be very, very significant for Forest Grove and its community.
Thank you. Question 2 for this section. What is your communication plan during the transition to assure uninterrupted services?
As I mentioned earlier, we have a very robust social media. And in particular, I think Facebook is what a lot of our community and a lot of the community works. We're also members of the Forest Grove. There's a Facebook page for Forest Grove residents, and we're very familiar with that and have been members of that. We'll be announcing it there, maybe in the newspaper, having community forums to invite people in, let them know what we're thinking and what we're doing, and finding out what they need as well. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do.
We have 2 minutes left of your 30-minute interview time, so that would give us time for one question. Does any of my council have a burning question? Council President Rippey.
Thank you. So I guess my question is going to be kind of, might be a little bit difficult, but how would you make this feel like Forest Grove and not just exclusively Central?
We would, and that's a really good question, because I've been thinking a lot about that. I think that we, it's important for people to know that we already serve a lot of folks, Forest Grove residents. They come to our center, if not for the senior program, for other things. They're familiar with us, I think. And I think what we would do is try to fit in with the culture that is already there. And as the previous person was saying, not to come in and change everything, because that never works. We want to be a part of the community. We are a part of the community. We live here and we shop here. I do all my Christmas shopping on Main Street in Forest Grove every year. I love the Valley Arts Center. So for us, this is our territory. This is the territory that we serve. We serve all of Washington County, and because we are contiguous, during the pandemic, and you know this, we had weekly meetings to prepare. It was a disaster preparedness, and how do we respond to the pandemic here in Forest Grove and Cornelius. We met every week. It was a superintendent. There was someone from Pacific University, city manager of Forest Grove, city manager of Cornelius, Adelante Mujeres. I mean, just school districts. We all met together because we were all community. So we hope to bring that as well in terms of helping folks to know that this is who we're part of Forest Grove already. And I do get it, honestly, that some people think, well, we're only going to serve, brown people, and that's just not the case. 8 years ago, we made the decision that we were going to change our mission statement at Centro Cultural. And we changed it from serving the Hispanic community to serving our diverse communities in the area, because we didn't want anyone to feel that they couldn't come if they were not Hispanic. So that's how important that is to us. We count on y'all. We count on everyone who lives in our communities to really address the symptoms of poverty, which is really what we do. So hopefully you'll join us in helping us to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes our interview for tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Paul, our
So
director.
do we need to leave?
I don't know. I think it's a work session, so you can stay and listen. Yeah, it's a public meeting, so you're totally fine.
So you turn in your score sheets to,
So let's
and we'll.
transfer.
Transfer one to your single sheet, and then we'll just have a single sheet and get it all done.
I didn't even score on mine, so we weren't, so.
Oh my.
Counselor Ewing, did you have any questions about how to transmit your scores to Mariah? You're on mute, Counselor Ewing.
Yep.
To make sure here.
So
make sure you, so this one and so it's in this section.
Yeah, it keeps unmuting me or keeps muting me. I'm sorry. So on the, not on the scoring sheet, but on the question sheet, am I having to fill that out for each question, notes, or what am I doing with that exactly?
So if you would like to submit the interview questions to us, then we can transfer the scores from your interview questions onto the sheet if you would like. Or if you would like to take the scores from your questions and transfer them onto the score sheet and send that to us, that's fine. Both of those documents are public records, and staff will need to at some point get those from you for the record. Both the interview questions and
I think I'll do the first, get the scoring sheet to you, because I think that will be the most relevant for getting your process moving forward. The other, if the question sheet, I will get to you as soon as I'm able to kind of compilate it and put it together for you. Okay, so that's what we're doing right now, is moving forward, and I'm getting the scoring sheet to Mariah, and then it'll go out to you guys, correct?
Correct. We'll tabulate it in the evening.
Can you take a bio break? Can I take a bio break? I haven't done. I breathe every day.
Hi, Mariah. I'm really sorry to
We have a planning.
Sorry.
What?
Totally got lost.
Counselor Ewing, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start, while we're waiting, staff is tabulating. Staff is tabulating the scores based on the weighted criteria. And so let's begin while we wait for them to compute the numbers. Let's start deliberating, through the applicants. Would anyone like to start? Any counselors like to start?
So I know I have some concerns, with, because it sounds like, Centro is really looking for a building. Is it going to be so full of, their programs that they currently have, that there's no real room for those who are renting the facility and using the facilities as they are? We weren't able to really delve into that too much.
Yeah, I feel confident that, I mean, I think in so if we go back to the interview, in the transition, they're gonna meet with the current board, have a conversation. They said that they would keep the programs.
Sure.
You know, and I think too, I think that part of having a cooperative, collaborative relationship with people that are I mean, because we know, and I don't know about you all, but I've heard a lot of feedback from community members about why the city isn't taking it over. You know, and I think that with Central, whenever you choose to have a partnership, you have open and clear communication. And if, you know, if that's something that's really important to us, is to maintain some of those programs and to make sure, then I think we communicate that. And I think that, you know, what I heard is that they're very much open to continuing existing services.
I did hear that. I definitely heard that. I also heard there's a lot of programs that they're already doing. Does that mean a lot of computers too at the facilities, at the center, you know? I don't know what they look like necessarily. So just, I mean, you know, I'm just bringing forth a lot of questions.
No, I understand. Centro is a very experienced organization.
Mhm. Oh,
And
yeah,
we
that
need
was
to remember
obvious.
that they do serve a lot of members from Forest Grove. And Centro has been able to transition into a lot of changes. Some of them came to us very quickly, like the pandemic that we all had to face. And some of them, you know, take a little bit more time. But I think this organization is able to move forward and to work with people.
And one concern I have, is so you work a lot with Centro, you're part of the
I used to work
organization.
with them.
Yeah. So you're able to answer some of the questions, but we don't have anybody here from City Club to answer any other questions that we might have either. Does that make sense?
Well, and
This is the discussion part, so the questions.
Yeah.
are-
right, and that's the thing, is that we're not, this is for, the discussion of,
Mhm.
for each applicant to have a fair application process,
Sure.
there's 30 minutes. And yeah, I feel
So,
like,
you know what I'm saying, is Mariana's got a lot of experience with Centro, so she's answering question that I have. That's all I'm saying.
But I can see that from their,
Oh, I can see that they've done a lot too, that they're very experienced.
and that's what I'm expressing,
Yeah.
what it's here in the application.
Mhm. Okay,
I mean, for me, that's a strength,
Mhm.
right, is being able to financially fund it. And this application from Centro didn't speak. I mean, one of the reasons we're in this RFP process is because we said, hey, we have the building, we can do like, these are the things, this is the way financially the city can work with a nonprofit. And in the City Club application, what I saw was an ask for additional revenue. And for me, I have a really hard time with that, because if we were gonna do that, then the senior and community center board that had been running for numerous years. We would have done that for them. And so, to me, that was like when I read over the application this weekend and then listening to the interview, that I don't know the feasibility of, or the sustainability of the city club running it without funding from the city. Like, that wasn't clearly communicated to me at all, which with Centro, I'm pretty confident that they, based on their answers, that they could financially, like, they would be able to continue existing services and add more services.
So how, I know that Central, their primary, and she's the, woman who spoke, I'm sorry, Maria, spoke to the fact that they really worked to open up, to other cultures. So I don't know what, how many do they serve outside of the Spanish population? So I know several years ago, I had a family try to access services there. They felt uncomfortable just because of the reaction to, and it was other people around there. It wasn't necessarily the staff, so I know that's something that's gonna have to change, is they'll have to make sure that all people are feeling comfortable to go there. So.
And you mentioned the problems currently at the senior center here in Forest Grove. Right?
Mhm.
And we're referring
What
to
problems are you referring to?
racism.
At the center?
Well,
right
I
now?
wasn't referring to the current
Okay,
here, just I've experienced it with other members of my husband's family. He experiences it sometimes with one member of my
Oh, okay.
family. That's what I'm talking about.
Referring to how,
Yes.
when you ask the question, how they're going to bring the.
Yes,
There
I wasn't
Okay.
able to ask that question.
There are actually quite a few events that are held at the center by Latino families. Birthdays, weddings, reunions, so there is involvement from the Latino community, but it's exclusive to their family events and not a mixed cultural event. So,
I understand.
yeah,
Okay.
so I think, my own feeling with this, I've always felt that the city had a moral obligation to serve the senior community, that it doesn't have the resources right now to take it on is evident, but that it shouldn't be discounted for the future. I think both proposals had shortcomings. Both, had some strengths. I think the challenges that both would face are different challenges. I think with the city club doesn't have nearly the level of experience, nor the staffing, nor the resources. They indicated that it would be a year and a half before they could really get something going. I don't find that necessarily acceptable. On the other hand, I think Central is going to have a huge challenge in this community with regard to overcoming a perception that they address only the Latino community. Every senior that I talked to said they wouldn't come if Centro was in charge because it was only for Latinos. Perception, okay, but perception in this case is going to be whether or not they're successful in bringing the community together and meeting the services that need to be done. That they have the experience, absolutely, there's no question there. That they have the staff, there's no question there. But it's going to be a perception issue that's going to have to be overcome. And I'm fairly confident they're going to be able to do that, but that will also take time. It's not going to be done overnight. So I guess so, those are some of my observations. I think they both face challenges, but I think, we need to figure out which way to go forward with that. I think it's time for our city to be able to provide more services than what it's currently being able to do, given the current staff and the restrictions on the current staff with regard to funding, wages, et cetera, and so forth.
Yep, I think we should go through, so we've heard from Councilor Martinez, Council President Rigby, let's hear from Councilor Marshall, Councilor Ewing, Councilor Valenzuela, and then myself, and then we'll see our scores. Okay, go
I
ahead.
mean,
Councilor.
as far as Centro, they on paper, check all the boxes. But they did have to start somewhere. They had to start somewhere like small. They had to work their way up to where they are now. I like the fact that the city club is already part of our city, their main street. Everything about that kind of just breeds that small town feel of it can get bigger. But then I do look at the side that what Councilor Rippey was mentioning, where it will take them a year to a year and a half to get the staffing to be able to do that, which is something they would have to overcome, in my eyes, way faster than 1 year. It would have to be, you would almost have to hit the ground running with a plan in mind where somebody is there being able to work it right then. As far as, I feel like, as far as partnering, both of them would be able to partner with the senior center right now. To be able to figure out what works and what doesn't work. The communication on both sides from both organizations is going to work. It's just, it comes down to, do we want to go with what's existing right now and have them move into Forest Grove? Because they need more facilities, they need more space for what they're doing? Or do we want to keep with what we have in Forest Grove and build our city club and build our Main Street project and our Main Street, and then have them start offering the things that the senior center had? I mean, it's kind of in my mind, it's pros and cons of both.
Councilor Ewing.
Yes, thank you. So a couple of concerns that I have with Centro, a couple of questions that I, didn't really feel that really fulfilled what I was hoping to hear, I guess. And one of them is inclusiveness versus exclusion. I guess that how I see it is this. When I look at a proposal and most of their programs are in Spanish, I have a concern about non-Spanish speaking people being put off. I have a concern that that inclusiveness is something that will take a long time to build, especially with our senior community. So that is a concern, especially since the city continuously talks about DEI. There's also an inclusiveness of people who are monolinguistic. And I don't know that I'm getting a real good sense in their communication plan and those types of things, how they're going to reach out to groups that have limited language ability. And I don't mean that in a negative way to our English speakers, but I know that we went through the same concerns as we began to translate our materials into Spanish. So that is a concern that I have. Throughout their conversation, Centro, they talked about partners and partners and partners. I know this to be true. I have been knowledgeable about Centro for over 40 years, grown from a really small little group to where they are now. Fabulous in what they've been able to accomplish. But throughout their conversation about partners, there were two partners that only came in at the very end. And one of that was the Forest Grove staff, senior center staff, and the other was really no mention of their board. These are two real key important partnerships. I think when you're going into a program, especially when you're going into a program that may have a lot of preconceived notions about who and what they're trying to provide. I was really encouraged by the change in their mission statement, but I think as Councilor Rippey said, perception. And so far, we have a community of elder members that are concerned, anxious, and somewhat afraid of whether or not they're going to have services. At this point, and this has been my feeling for a very long time, I think it's time for Forest Grove to step up to the needs and the desires and the vulnerability of our senior members. And how I feel that this is best done is through the city. Now, we know that the Forest Grove Senior Center Board, we know that they have $300,000. We know that that's a possibility of coming to the city. This should help us, would help, in my opinion, the city to put together a program, a plan, and be able to staff until we are able to adjust our budget for the needed services that we as a community have kind of sworn that we're going to provide for our seniors, and yet we never step up to the plate and take that task on. So
Can we allow the rest of the council to talk about the interviews, and then we'll come back to our options once we all have a chance.
Oh, okay. If we're going to come back to our options, that's fine.
Thank you.
That's it for me. That's set with the City Club. Love their idea. Excited to have them on board as a new partner, but I really do feel that the time it will take to staff and their lack of really senior program knowledge is a real hindrance in my decision. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Valenzuela.
And that's exactly the key, the experience of serving seniors. I don't know if anyone can respond to me this question. How many Latino seniors are served? Not that they hold events, but I have this curious, I'm curious about how many Latino seniors are served at the senior center in Forest Grove. How many people come there for Meals on Wheels or for any other service that is provided?
We can't answer that right now. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, but I think you can continue to make it.
Yeah, because I think that somewhere this is gonna have to start to change. And I think for me, experience here and the resources are key. Experience and resources are key. And unfortunately, I feel that the city is lacking some key ingredients here to be able to step in and make the place more sustainable. So those are my comments.
Okay.
These are my comments.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a roll. I think Centro had the best application. I think they had the best interview. And I'm feeling really sad at this discussion and some of the comments I'm hearing, because to me, it's very implicit bias. It's a little bit of reverse racism, and that's how it sounds to me. The things that we're discussing of why they wouldn't qualify to do this program have to do with perceived notions of not feeling comfortable, when that has nothing to do with this. And isn't that what we should work to overcome as a city? 30% of our community identifies as Latino. We are doing a Forest Grove Forward survey and engagement process, a long-term strategic plan, and we are not engaging that group. We don't have that representation on our steering committee, and we frankly, I'm talking about myself too. I've been doing this 10 years. I'm holding the mirror to myself. We have let down a whole community. Our conversation today is how do we continue to provide services for senior citizens in our community and more community events and services. I'm like, I need to calm down a little bit, but I'm frustrated because when I hear Centro being held to a standard that the city club was not held, and that's how it sounds in this discussion. I listen to people go on and on about Centro and all these things, that they spent their whole time talking about Centro. When my scoring had Centro at 227 and the city club at 112. Yet the one that we're discussing of why they don't meet and they're not right for Forest Grove is the one that has 50 years experience, can financially pay to do this, is in a position to come in and take over right away. And I'm sorry to sound frustrated, but we're not going to move forward with an inclusive community, and we are not upholding our DEI values with this conversation. So to me, I mean, and the reason they didn't discuss the partnership with the city or the board, Councilor Ewing, is because that was section 5, the transition section was at the end. It was not because it wasn't as important as their senior programming, their 50 years of experience, their current buildings, all these things. It wasn't because it wasn't as important. It was because that question came at the end. Like, so to hold that against a group, an interview, like, would be like saying, oh, they didn't answer this question until the end. It wasn't asked until the end. I fully support moving forward with, oh, I answered not to that point yet, and I'd ask. So at this point, can we have the scores and discuss our options, please?
Okay,
So
yeah.
staff scores and our scores, please.
What?
The staff scores and our scores.
Okay, you wanna kind of move that, large that, then kind of drag it up so we can see like where we want. Okay. You'll see the selection review committee, we scored, there were 500 points possible. We scored City Club at 99.25, 92.55, and Centro 390.25. City Council scored 180.45 in interviews, and 278.5 out of 300 points possible. So you can see staff was significantly higher on Centro. And if you want any quick comments about why staff
Yeah,
scored how they did, we can kind of give you a few comments. One of staff's main concerns, I mean, both appear to be looking for a facility for different reasons. City to administer its Main Street program, and that was part of the problem. Actually, the selection review committee had was separating. Are you doing a Main Street program, or are you managing and operating a senior center? That was part of and it's not just staff review. The review selection committee was members of staff and also a lady who was the director of Salem Senior Center. So we did have an outside person also reviewing it. So it's, you know, that's, you know, that was the question, that was the concern with City Club is, are you doing Main Street program, or are you doing managing and operating a senior center? Which is it? I mean, there could be maybe elements of both. You know, it wasn't clear to us, you know, whether they're going to continue to provide some or all of the existing senior and community centers and what population they would be provided for. And it's not clear what program and services would be offered in addition to what they were already providing and who they provided for. And probably one of the questions we had for both of them is, you know, for some of it would appear to be more of a programming space geared more towards need-driven social services and less of a space for how do they provide the space for the social gathering aspects of what a senior and community center traditionally does. So that was one of the review committee's concerns on that. So that's.
Wait, any questions for staff? I felt that was good feedback. So let's look at our choices. I mean, okay, sorry, staff, we have planning. Are we okay finishing this work session with planning commission in 3 minutes? We have no choice, right?
What's that?
Okay, let's do
The
our
planning
options.
commission, I guess, can start late, but it's published for 7.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys.
How much?
How much,
Back.
how many rooms or how much room is available at the senior center? Is this something that Centro would be, if Centro does get into it, would be willing to work with City Clubs on renting a room? Because at this point, from what I'm gathering from what you guys are saying, is that they're looking for more of an address to be put for Main Street. Now, we know that, isn't it, Go Green, or not Go Green, they rent a space there. And there's already people that are renting certain spaces. Is there a space available that they would be willing to rent out to City Club? That's something is that something that could
I
be?
think we should, that's
I'm just saying,
muddying the water.
I know, I'm just asking if it's.
That's not really a question we can answer until you determine what exactly, if you awarded Centra, what programs they would be offering, what spaces they would need to operate the programs. And what they would need. I mean, there's limited number of office spaces there. I mean, there's, you know, there's several open areas where you could do programs of that nature, but when you start getting it down to individual offices, it starts getting a little bit more limiting, and so I wouldn't say, I don't want to necessarily say the one bedroom, if you do this, you've got to rent space here, because that may also not be the better option for city. They may be able to find something downtown, that's centrally poor.
And, you know, okay, we'll just go with that because of time.
So there's the three options we listed. In the middle one, that's just an option, from out one of your better options. And then I would select the one proposal authorize staff to begin negotiations, or not select either proposal at this time, and ask staff to develop a plan to continue operations for the senior center.
So
Or senior community center.
one of the things I heard is there's like a little bit of concern about engaging with the senior community and the people using the senior center now. In the initial RFP, I believe it said a 2+1. How would the council feel better if we offered Centro the contract and then changed the agreement to 1 year, and then we would review it in a year? And then that would give us some time with, I'm trying to like broker a deal where the council feels comfortable, but I also want to remind people that, because I heard what Councilor Ewing said, and, you know, the reason we did this RFP process is because financially with our levy, our current levy, we do not have the funds to keep existing programs and staff it at its current capacity. So if we don't take an RFP right now, I mean, I don't want to I can't for surely say this, but I would imagine that I would imagine we would not be able to offer what is being offered now. And for me, the goal is not to make sure each applicant gets what they want. My number one goal is senior services and then additional community program, senior programming, community programming. That's what the building was donated for. That's why we're doing this hard work. To me, that is the number one. So I would really like to see Centro get awarded this. I feel, but I'm willing to discuss how we can make everyone feel comfortable with it.
With that 1 year, I would like to see that on either side. I would like to be able to review it in a year if City Club or Central gets into it to review it. That's not, I would like to see that personally.
Well, so we do updates,
Yes.
but
I would like to be able to review the contract at some point in the near future to make sure that
For
what is
each, okay.
for either one. And I would agree with that no matter what.
Okay.
So I've had my hand up for quite some time, or am I able to speak?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Councilor Ewing.
So first of all, I understand you're frustrated. But to talk about reverse racism, I just think is heaping fuel. I think it's very important that we feel safe as counselors and safe as community members to talk about those difficult subjects. Regardless of how hard and painful they are, I think that we have to talk about them. And to now go silent because of concern of reverse racism, I fought just as hard against that for our Latino neighbors for the past 20 years. But to say racism when we're trying to have a dynamic, open conversation, I think intimidates people, Mayor, and I'm not comfortable with that. I also think that I would prefer to see a proposal from staff. Yes, we're not in the financial position, but as I said, said that the senior center has $300,000. They are willing to fundraise for programs. And I think to exclude that commitment and responsibility is short-sighted on us. I would be willing to consider a year and then to come back with data and statistics and clear knowledge of what groups are being served so that we can all have, or you all can have a bigger conversation, I think is critical. So at this point, I would be willing to do that with Centro. But I would prefer that the city be working forward on a plan to permanently and sustainably take on our senior needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Ewing. I have a check for Pulse. Do we want to have a further discussion? I would ask to adjourn and move into the conference room, or if we are like gonna wrap this up within the next 5 minutes, we can continue on. What do you guys think? Do you want a further discussion? Anybody?
I think people are
Are we ready?
here and comfortable with 1 year.
Okay, so is there consensus to offer the RFP to Centro for 1 year? I see, Bernard says yes, Councilor Marshall, Councilor Martinez, Council President Rippey. Councilor Ewing, I can't, yes, the
She
thumbs.
said yes.
Okay, so we'll move ahead with that then.
Okay.
Okay, great.
We'll get started.
Thank you. This work session is adjourned.
Sorry, planning commission.
We need to turn this into, right,
The whole thing.
yeah.
Matt, please turn all of your story stuff in the right. Real excited. Tell them we're done.
We need to keep this back.
Questions and then. No.